Commissar Litulis was very angry. Reginald here. A new shotgun is in town. It has 2 questions to ask you, and the answer to both is early retirement. Now shoo, heretics, get off my lawn before I make you. Let's jump right into the tutorial. As ever, I have put a roadmap below and a nifty tracker on the bottom right. Purpose and kit. The Ironhelm Hacker Mark IV Assault Shotgun is a quick-draw horde annihilation tool with a secondary specialty in almost anything else within a 10 to 15 meter range, but not much farther. Basics. The Super Shotgun, Hacker, has the following stats table. Additionally, it has access to the following blessings. Those are the fundamentals for you. This shotgun has 3 types of attacks: Hipfire, Secondary Fire, and Special Bash. Lastly, here are some key details you need to know about as we go forwards. This shotgun is capable of firing either 1 shell at a time or both shells simultaneously. This shotgun is capable of partial reloads. It fires the right shell first, and you can just reload whenever you want while retaining the other shell. This is a break action sawn-off shotgun, so range is obviously not intended to be part of the package. Hipfire usage. I was pretty confused by this, to be honest, and I think it should be the exact reverse. However, Hipfire default LMB fires 1 shell at a time. As there are 2 barrels in this classic sawn-off shotgun, that means you can fire twice before reloading. It has a short range for delivery of maximum damage, hitting all pellets on a Reaper consistently at around 10 to 11 meters. Beyond this, you certainly don't reliably get full bore stacks, but you can still deal quite sizable damage to man-sized targets at around 15 meters. A 2-tap from Hipfire with the right perks is usually enough to kill a trapper or flamer within 15 meters. The reticle is accurate to your spread and doesn't appear to be improved by crouching. Key detail here, the Hipfire shots have 4.5 cleave, which gives them the ability to cleave and kill no more than 4 groaners without some kind of buff on damnation. Secondary usage. The secondary fire aims the shotgun, kinda, but this is really just Hipfire. But again, and with both barrels this time. This firing method results in higher damage, more pellets, and a wider spread of shot. It's quite literally, as far as I can tell, just additively shooting both barrels with inferior spread. A few key details here before we move on. Let's look at the spread between the 2 methods of fire. The reticle is actually an accurate representation of the distribution space of these 2 shots. Notably, they clump towards the center of your target, giving you decent accuracy on the whole, but flyers will reduce damage when firing at singular targets at longer ranges, not accounting for damage fall off. These are the spread patterns at 10 meters for Hipfire and secondary fire, as well as 15 meters. Initial testing of Dance of Death proved inconclusive. However, after some additional tries, I did prove that Dance of Death does affect the spread of the shotgun and reduce it substantially, allowing you a faster time to kill at longer ranges. Ultimately, my conclusion here, and from basic game and range tests, is that firing Hipfire, or 2 single shots, is more precise than firing a single large blast when trying to net a key single target kill. This is best guess, likely due to the concentration of shot placed in the center of 2 individual shots being higher than the total shot landing in the center with the double shot attack. Even though both concentrate towards the center, it could also have something to do with the modified max range before damage drop off for double shot over single shots, as the double shot has a hard-coded lower range value before damage drop off is applied. Finally, for this section, I just want to call out that the cleave for this shot is considered medium cleave, and that means it has a value of 6.5 or 6 groaners cleaved, with the 7th eating the shot for whatever damage is there. This is actually not enough cleave to even penetrate more than a single Dreg Rager. Special attack usage. The special attack for this weapon is a bash that does either a light or heavy attack and isn't entirely useless as a basic single target attack. It has decent stagger and is funny, but that's about all there is to say about this, except don't use the light attack to stagger bursters. It knocks them sideways rather than backwards, and it makes it hard to escape the blast radius. Build guide. Alright, time for the build guide. For once, I'm pleasantly surprised with the list of blessings for this weapon. I don't think any of them are outright garbage, but there's clearly a hierarchy. I also want to say I struggled a bit here in getting the data in my usual way, so I cheated and am leveraging the source code repository used by our glorious modding community to help me get a sense of what is best and what isn't. A bit of testing mixed with some stats reviews giving me a good sense of what to recommend here. Perks. As far as I can tell, the best possible 2 choices from the perspective of Breakpoints are, once again, Flak and Maniac, but there's certainly an argument for unarmored, unyielding, and infested. With maniacs on my Psyker, with a pretty typical gunker build, I'm going from a 10 meter 2-tap on a trapper to a 15 meter 2-tap on that same trapper. That's a big advantage. Likewise, I get much more reliable kills on flamers with 2-taps at 10 meters, whereas before it was pretty hard to clear that outside of 8. That seemed to be largely true with my Zealot as well. Basically, these 25% damage perks bring you a lot closer to 2-tapping with quick follow-up single fire shots against specialists, and while it's great to have a gun that blows hordes to pieces, being able to quick draw and blast a trapper in a bad situation is always a top tier option. However, the argument for unarmored really is this shot here. I don't quite kill these groaners, and I could have. Yes, unarmored helps with drag gunners, drags in general, and drag bombers, but mostly it's just that I could blow a lot more groaners away with a single shot, and that might be worth it, especially when paired with Manstopper. Blessings. Just like last time, I think I'll start from the bottom. The 3 worst blessings are Speed Load, Terrifying Barrage, and Run and Gun. Speed Load because, given this is a 1 or 2 shot weapon, is just inferior to both barrels. Terrifying Barrage because why suppress when you could kill? Run and Gun because this is a 1 or 2 shot gun and you cannot sprint while reloading, so your value here is actually really small. Full bore is not awful on this weapon, with the ability to trigger it reasonably well on larger targets for the added power bonus, but it's just not great when shooting into smaller foes. The range is really short and the constraint of getting every pellet on the target is tough. Hit and Run is definitely a middle to top tier blessing along with Flechette. It's no secret anymore that shooters and gunners got buffed. While I don't mind the former, I do find gunner spam a bit annoying, especially with the way they laser you down now if you get unlucky and caught out. This blessing helps with that, and it has a place if you're struggling with ranged enemies but want to play very aggressively. Flechette really requires a crit build to make it work, and even still, it's a bit light on damage, but it does have a potential pairing that I haven't been able to test with Manstopper and Veterans Guaranteed crits from Weapon Specialist. I'd love to have tested this, but unfortunately I am still trapped by the crafting system at this time, as I don't have either of these blessings, but I know what bleed does, you can get it in other things. Both barrels is a bit more valuable than either of these 2 previous options, precisely because a 70% improved reload speed simply by blasting your gun into anything you're about to kill is self-evidently a huge gain in firing uptime. I have this on some of my builds and it feels great to use. Scattershot and Death Spitter are 2 top tier blessings with real potential to improve your damage output substantially. You could even pair them together to ensure crits on higher power attacks with more cleave and damage. To that point, here's some quick footage I took while out on the range. I set up a meat target with 50 Poxwalkers and 50 Groaners as is standard. I then initiated the attack and fired until I got almost all of them and was forced into melee. I killed most of them in just 9 seconds, which is very good, and makes it one of the fastest horde clear weapons in my data set, period. Not just amongst ranged weapons, melee too. But this is where Manstopper comes in. Now, personally, I haven't rolled it, and I haven't figured out where the loadout editor mod lives to try this myself, but I have a friend who sent me this video of Manstopper. Yeah, I don't really need to say why Manstopper on a crit build is the best blessing, do I? Keep in mind that 6.5 cleave on the unbuffed double shot from this shotgun will not cleave more than the single Dreg Rager, but with Manstopper, well. As I was recording this section and getting a little footage for it, I actually did get lucky and get Manstopper, but not Flechette. As a consequence, I've tested it, and yeah, it is that good. So I'd say the best 2 blessings are Manstopper and Scattershot, but the rest of my information is still right. Breakpoints. For the shotgun, I am going to be largely skipping the breakpoints section. It's simply a fact that there is a lot of uncertainty and variability in a scattergun like this. The breakpoint I found easiest to identify was the Maniac's perk, breakpoint for trappers, which was a whopping 5 meter range increase for 2 hipfire shots to kill on a trapper over not having it. It also made killing flamers and berserkers far more consistent, and I think that's just worth calling out again. Instead, I'll just say this in this section. The gun is good against maniacs and unarmored, and bad against flak armor, and worse against carapace. Otherwise, it just treats everything the same. Tips and tricks. I have played a bunch of games with this gun in an attempt to learn anything critical about it I could put here. I have 3 things. Don't bother shooting bursters with it. You'll neither stagger nor kill them at a safe distance. The center of your reticle does get the most pellets, so guide your aim accordingly. Weapon Specialist's always prepared subnode loads 1 shell at 1 stack and 1 shell at 10 stacks. Doesn't matter. Thus, when using Weapon Specialist FET build, avoid firing both barrels. If you don't need to, just fire 1 shot. This will allow you to add 1 ammo back on swap from melee, with even just a single kill, thus granting the weapon full utility. Elsewise, you will have to swap and kill twice or reload to recover both shots to this weapon. I think that about does it. I like this gun a lot. I think it's a fun addition to Darktide, and it has its niche. There is no reason not to bring it for a few games, or even for all of your games if that's your thing. I hope you all have a lovely week. Thank you so much for visiting. Bye-bye.